Hi, English 13-1 students, it's Dr. Murray. I wanted to make a video in which I talk to you about citations in essay number 3, and then, time permitting, some other things. But let's start with citations. So, in your essay, at the end of your essay, you need a works cited page. Having looked at some of your papers, I noticed some things about works cited page, so I want to make sure we're clear on a few things. One, that your works cited page always starts on a brand new page. So if you finish your essay halfway down a page, you don't have the works cited on that page. Whether you have one sentence on a new page on the last page of your essay, or you fill up most of the page or just half the page, it's always on a brand new page that you have the works cited page. It should have at the top the words works cited with a capital W, capital C. This is MLA formatting. Centered. You don't put a colon after it. You don't put works cited in boldface. You don't put it in big font. It's just the words works cited in 12-point font, capital W, capital C at the top of the page. Then you have your citations. For this essay that you're going to have the Trial by Twitter essay cited. You might also probably will also have the UNESCO investigative journalism definition cited. And you might have other things, but I suspect at least those two things. I'm not anticipating a bunch of citations, but perhaps you bring in other sources, but I didn't really ask you to. So anyway, I want to make sure you're clear on these. So a couple more just practical things about citing works cited pages. You want your works cited page to be double spaced. Many people had them double spaced. Some people single spaced them. They put spaces between the citations, but on the lines of an individual citation, they had it single spaced. You don't want that. It should be double spaced. And then there's no space between citations except the one space that's between every line in a double-spaced paper. The other issue is what's called the hanging indent. Some people got the hanging indent wrong in that they indented the first line of a citation. The first line is the one line that's not indented. If you have a citation that is 2 or 3 or more lines, every line after the first is indented when you have a hanging indent, which is what the MLA rules require. So, how do you do that? My advice is to Google hanging indent, and maybe you need to specify in Word, or you need to specify on a Mac or on a PC, just because, the commands are slightly different about how to bring it up. It's not complicated. You just need to find out specifically on your computer or in Word or combination of those things, what the, procedure is. So Google it or look it up on YouTube and make sure it's a recent description of it. And what you end up doing is just highlighting it, clicking hanging indent, and do that on each of your citations. Now, if it's a citation that's only one line long, then hanging indent doesn't really apply because it's only for citations that are more than a line long. Okay. I think that does it for the works cited page formatting. So let's now go to the specific citation of a magazine article, which is what Trial by Twitter is. So I'm on my laptop here. I went into Canvas, and then I went on our homepage. Scrolled down to helpful writing links to Purdue OWL, and I went to where it says MLA works cited page basic format, and I clicked that link. So if you need to, pause this and do that. Okay, so now you're in, hopefully, the page that is MLA works cited page basic format in Purdue OWL. And now on the left of the screen, you're going to encounter the sort of almost like a table of contents. and it starts with MLA general format. And if you go down a little ways, you'll get to the page we're on, which is MLA Works Cited Page basic format. And then 2 more down under that, and you'll see MLA Works Cited Page periodicals. Click on that. And so once you're on that page, periodicals includes magazines. So we scroll down and we see the first thing we come to, if we scroll down a little bit, is article in a magazine. So this is where you're going to know how to cite trial by Twitter. So they give you the sort of abstract example that starts with author's name, title of article, title of periodical, etc. But let's look at the example under it. So they have an author that is Paniwazik, comma, James, period. So if that's what that one would look like, yours would say Levy, comma, Ariel, period. Then the next thing is the title of the article. This one says TV makes a too close call, period, end quote, the whole thing in quotes. Yours will be, quote, trial by Twitter, period, end quote. Capitalize the T in trial, the T in Twitter, but not the B in by, because by is a preposition, and a preposition, or in this example case, an A, which is an article, or the T in the. In words like articles, prepositions, the first letter is not capitalized, but otherwise you always capitalize the first letter of a title. So trial by Twitter in quotes, period, and the period is inside the quotes. Next thing, title of the article. In this case, it's Time Magazine with a capital T in italics, followed by a comma. Yours should say The New Yorker, 3 words, capital T, capital N, capital Y, The New Yorker in italics, period. Then the date of the article, that's on the first page of Trial by Twitter. Here the date is 20 November 2000, comma. In yours it will be 5 AUG, AUG, period, 2013, I believe is the date, August 5th, 2013, comma. And then the last thing is the page numbers. We don't actually have the exact page numbers of how this article appeared in the hard copy magazine, but we're going to just go with the numbers that we put on the pages, which is basically 1 through 30. So PP period 1-30 period. And that's your citation that goes on the works cited page for Trial by Twitter, okay? The next citation you need is the definition for the investigative journalism definition from the UNESCO website. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to the next on the left where the MLA Works Cited Page periodicals is highlighted, because that's the page we're currently on. The one right under it, MLA Works Cited Electronic Sources, is where we're going. Click on that one. Okay, now we're on that page, and you want to scroll down a little ways. Best practices for managing online sources. Important note on the use of URLs in MLA. That might be worth reading. But we get down to, read the stuff that's on the top of this page, but get down to not citing an entire website, but the next one down, which is a page on a website, okay? So if you look at the example that they give, it says Lundman, comma, Susan, period, is the beginning of it, which would be the author of what's written on the page of that website. Now at the UNESCO one, they don't give an author, so we're going to just ignore the author and go to the next item. How to make vegetarian chili is the name of the page. Our name of our page for the UNESCO investigative journalism definition is investigative journalism. So that's what should go in quotes there, with a period at the end inside the quotations, okay? So that's going to be the first thing in the citation. Next is the name of the website, which is UNESCO, in capital letters, in italics, with a comma after it, just like this is, the example says eHow, okay? Then the next thing you need is the web address, okay? So put that, and then a period after the web address, and then the last thing is accessed, and then the date it was accessed. Well, if you accessed yours today, it would be 6 December or DEC period 2023. The example they have is 6 July 2015 period, and a period at the end. So that's how you cite the investigative journalism definition from the UNESCO website, okay? Now, which of those two, the trial by Twitter or the investigative journalism, goes first on your works cited page? Well, one begins investigative journalism, starts with an I. The other, Levy, starts with an L. So the UNESCO definition would go ahead of the Levy one. If you have other items on your works cited page, you have to figure out what word goes first, whether it's an author's last name or name of an article or whatever, and then just go by alphabetically what order things go in, okay? As far as in-text citations, what I would say is, as long as it's clear in the essay that you're talking about the contents of trial by Twitter, which I suspect it will be in most cases, all we need are the page numbers. If it were to be at all unclear, if your only other source in the essay is the UNESCO definition, then you would put Levy and then a space and then the page number. But generally speaking, especially once you get into body paragraphs, because I'm anticipating that you will talk about the UNESCO definition mostly in your introduction, though you might make reference to the concept mentioned, but you probably won't make reference to UNESCO again. But all of it's to say, I think once we get into the body of your essay, I'm suspecting it's going to be clear by the context at most times that you're talking about trial by Twitter. So what's most important is after a direct quote that you have the page number or the span of page numbers. If you're citing that place in the article where it begins at the bottom of page 20 and goes to the top of 21, what goes in parentheses is 20-21. And remember that with an in-text citation, you have the parentheses after the end quote of the quote that precedes it, but the period goes after the closed parenthesis, okay? The period, you don't have the parentheses after a period. You have end quote, parentheses, and then a period at the very end, and then you start a new sentence, okay? And I think with regard to a citation, an in-text citation for UNESCO, you probably don't need one at all, because you'll mention in the sentence that the definition, especially if you're quoting it, came from the UNESCO website, and that's enough. We'll know we don't need an in-text citation. Okay, quick last things. Topic sentences. Make sure your body paragraphs have topic sentences that are fairly compact and straightforward. They should announce the focus of the paragraph. They should connect to your thesis statement. They're going to probably mention either ethos, pathos, or logos. And since those concepts will be mentioned in your topic sentence, it should be clear that you're talking about the kind of ethos appeals or appeals to pathos or logos appeals made by Ariel Levy in the article. But don't have a very long topic sentence. It should be a fairly compact claim, and then you move on to supporting that claim. And then finally, I would say in the conclusion, it would be great if, besides reflecting on the significance of what you talked about, you touch in some way on the broader implications, which is, in a way, I could imagine you connecting it to the other films that we've seen, in the sense of the importance of somebody who sorts through confusing situations, to bring clarity and so forth, or a case in our culture where there are other cases of people online creating confusion about the reality of something that's important, and yet it's been confused by people like Goddard or Anonymous, etc. As far as page length, if you don't quite make 4 pages, that's not the end of the world. I just want you to have some very good evidence for each category: ethos, pathos, and logos. I'll leave it there. Best of luck. Talk to you soon.